Back to Jedi Mike 7 Movie News YouTube channel. I'm your host, Michael Sowell. Jedi Mike, I'm here with the guest, Anthony Jenkins. How you doing, man?
Great, man. How are you?
Doing good. Now, in preparation for The Penguin, which is going to be streaming on HBO Max relatively soon by taping this recording, we want to go over and review the film that actually introduced this character, which is 2022, the Matt Reeves, the Batman, starring Robert Pattinson, Zoë Kravitz, Jeffrey Wright, along with Colin Farrell, who plays the Penguin, who is also getting a spin-off series by the time it's recording next week. We're going to be going in, giving our thoughts on it, just reviewing it, the masterpiece that this film was, and just so we compare for this really amazing series that I'm really looking forward to. But what was just your overall thoughts on the Batman, Anthony?
Yes, like you said, man, this is a masterpiece. I love this movie. It's one of my, not only is this one of my all-time favorite comic book movies. This is, like I said, one of my all-time favorite comic book movies, and I always go back and forth between this and Dark Knight. Those two being my favorite Batman movies, because those movies are just great for different reasons. Both are just like, what I love what this movie did is that it really does like showcases Batman's detective side, which we have never seen in like the previous Batman movie iterations. And I just love like the visual aesthetic of Gotham City, probably the best looking Gotham City, next to the Burton films. I love the cinematography in this movie. Matt Reeves directing is amazing, and I just love how it's just so like ground. Even though like a lot of people are getting like so tired of grounded Batman these days, but I just love the groundedness and the grittiness of this movie. And just like this, because in this movie and this like this universe that Matt Reeves established with Gotham City, it really does feel like immersive. It really does feel lived in, and I just love how this movie takes inspiration from like Seven and Zodiac and a lot of like crime thriller detective movies. And I could definitely see this, and I could definitely see the inspiration for this film. And I just love, even though, and I remember when Robert Pattinson was first cast as Batman back in 2019. I have my doubts because I hate Twilight and I hate those movies.
Right.
But like seeing him in other movies like The Lighthouse and Good Times and like other like indie movies he's been in, I was like, okay, but this guy, he has range, he has chops. Like, and then like seeing him like in costumes, see like trailers for the movies, really like piqued my interest to see how his Batman will turn out. And he exceeded my expectations. And he's one of my favorite Batmans. And I just love how this movie really does showcase a lot of Batman. It's 85% Batman and 15% Bruce Wayne. And I really like that because his portrayal of Bruce Wayne in comparison to Batman isn't the most confident, isn't the most comfortable. He's socially awkward. He isn't really sure of himself compared to how he is as Batman. And I really like how they did that. But I know like when we get like the other two movies, the next two movies, we're gonna get we're probably gonna get more of a true like Bruce Wayne, billionaire playboy philanthropist side of the character. But like his Batman, I really loved, and I also do love like his like chemistry between him and Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon. And that's something that I do feel like while we have Commissioner Gordon in the previous iterations, I do like to say that the detective aspect, definitely the chemistry was definitely there. And I love that aspect of the movie. And I also do love his chemistry also with Zoë Kravitz in this movie as well. I thought she was a good like early year Catwoman. Or same thing with Robert Pattinson as Batman. A good early year, 2 years as Batman, still learning, still figuring things out, still like getting like comfortable like in as the Cape Crusader, like as the world's greatest detective, as one of his nickname is. And yes, and I truly do feel like this trilogy and like could like potentially be one of the best like not only like Batman trilogy but like comic book trilogies in general. It's just like with Matt Reeves' direction as his like his vision, his style, like cinematography and color grading of this movie is amazing. And I just also love the use of like red lights in this movie.
Yes. Yeah, I think that they set the atmosphere for being this type of noir type of setting and universe, because the first thing that we always see this a new Batman, and now with the new phase of DC going into this, now this Matt Reeves Batman universe is part of an Elseworlds thing that's not in the main DC universe continuity with James Gunn. But with that, it has its own stylistic approach that I appreciate, and that gives it to be full reign to do wherever it wants to be. And with Matt Reeves, like originally, this was supposed to be Ben Affleck Batman film, and then definitely going through different iterations of the script and stuff. But going back into the casting of I'm forgetting the name. Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson is that Robert Pattinson casting for me, it definitely gave me a more of like, okay, how am I actually going to see this come into fruition? But after seeing this film and what we see where this character Bruce Wayne end up becoming at the end, I think is definitely sitting a more of a character study of Bruce Wayne evolving to the Batman of not just being the vengeance, but also the symbol of hope, right? Which then that the mask of Bruce Wayne is the billionaire philanthropist. And I think that was a lot of people's criticism, or like when the film came out, was just like, okay, he's definitely giving this emo type of Bruce
Right.
Wayne, but like this is Batman year 2 technically. And I think the fact that he still has not made that distinction from Bruce Wayne to Batman. He's always in this entire film, try to be, is Batman, but then trying to be Bruce Wayne. And when I was seeing this film, the certain decisions that they're making, especially you're seeing these characters coming to their fruition and on foundational level, like Catwoman with Selina Kyle, like with Penguin, Oswald Cobblepot, like those characters, even James Gordon before he becomes like commissioner, as like you're seeing these characters fundamentally, which we've seen previous iterations, but now in this noir universe, we're actually take certain elements that have been in the comics, but now we can see them be fleshed out in a more realistic way. And I feel like with Matt's, every time he talks about the character Batman or this universe, is always just like, I always just want to watch and see him give a lecture, because again, this is a person that understands, not just talk about the detective comics and talking about the superheroism of it all, but more of the psychology of those characters, to a point where these characters, even on a psychological level, are relatable, but also very complex. Even when you're seeing the interpersonal relationship between this universe, Bruce Wayne and Alfred, and seeing that they're in a different point than really we've seen them before, cinematically, right? And I do appreciate that what Matt Reeves was doing with this. Definitely gives, like, terms of expanding this universe, and as we're getting the Penguin series to see more of these characters fleshed out, I'm really excited to see that. But I want to point out one of the main villain of this film, the Riddler, which is like one of previous iteration of a character we've seen before with Jim Carrey, but with this is actually putting in a more humanized way, not more ridiculous, but more of a sinister type of way with this Riddler. But how did you feel about the character Riddler in this film?
Yes. I also wanted to point out, I actually like Jim Carrey's Riddler in Batman Forever. Just because I love Jim Carrey.
I have no issues. I have no issues with his with Jim. Like there's a time and place with those like settings of different type of Batman in like terms of the universe of characters. You have the corniness or the whatever you want to call it. But I mean for me, I enjoyed it. I still go back watching those films, every now and then. Like Batman Forever, the original Joe Schumacher Batman cut, Batman Forever. If you can find it, you're lucky. But yeah, I'm saying that what they were doing with that character, I really was a fan of. But yeah, but how'd you feel about with this iteration of Riddler?
Yes. I actually love Paul Dano's portrayal of the Riddler in this movie. While I remember like his costume, I would make kind of had to grow on me a little bit, because that's like not like the costume I was used to for the Riddler stuff. But like for this universe, it actually fits. But what we've seen from the Riddler for like Batman Forever, or just like how the Riddler looks in the comics, it would not like fit well with the tone or like with the universe. But like Paul Dano, I really think that he does a great job at playing a more like serious like version of the Riddler, and I just love his performance of him him in a Batman when he was in the interrogation scene, and
Yes.
how he was just like going off. It's like, no, this is not how it's supposed to work. I'm not sure if that was intentionally supposed to be funny or not, but like it actually cracked me up.
Yeah, I think what that is like, you're still like, I'm watching this scene for the first time, and it's like, I'm still like, I know where I'm supposed to laugh or be like, oh my god, what is he, what is he going to do? But there was a huge aspect of Arkham Asylum, or the uh, where in the comics that I really cinematically have not seen that they have gone before, but in this film they're tapping into that of like, no, this is the place for the mentally insane, and
Hmm.
like, but we're actually going to show you, like, yeah, we have Joker, we understand that, even though we have Joker in that scene at the end, but with this is like, we're understanding like, hey, are these people really insane, or are they actually very intellectual what they're doing and what they're giving off and stuff, right? Because even then, with his performance, I felt it was given definitely more of the I would say type of serial killer vibe of someone that's not trying to just go out for the sake of killing, but make a message, right? Anarchists, or if you will, and I feel like those types of changes to like those characters is definitely can be jarring, but I think very beneficial in terms of like, if they're able to take that risk and that leap and see where that character can go by turning them into that type of anarchist character. Because again, we're seeing even then with the Dark Knight with Christopher Nolan, how have they changed with Harvey Dent and making it
Hmm.
more of a political and gangster type thriller, but at the same time not going into the psychological elements of Harvey Dent, that character. And with the Riddler, he's taking down the rich and the mighty of the high elites of Gotham, and exposing their secrets, and to the point where he's creating a following, right? And now in the modern age of social media and stuff, you have like manifestos and everything like that. And I was like, okay, well, then I'm really intrigued to see how he's able to explore that with using the Riddler for that. Because even like my favorite iteration of certain those characters are actually in the video games with Arkham.
Hmm.
And I feel like they haven't, again, cinematically have not gotten that their due. But now we're seeing the tap into their full potential of their characters, and I'm really happy to see that they were able to pull that out of the character of the Riddler. Again, his performance definitely was great in this film. But I won't go to really my main favorite part of this film, which we'll get into. Well, actually, no, we'll get into the Selina and Bruce in a minute. I will go into another villain before he becomes a villain, but the Penguin, Oswald Cobblepot.
Hmm.
So Colin Farrell, first of all, when that trailer came out, and I was like, "Is that Colin Farrell?" The whole internet just blew up and everything. Like, wait, I have never seen makeup to this scale, have, like especially in this genre. Like, I would say to that point where it's not like he's wearing a green or purple costume or anything. No, he looks human, but he looks so unrecognizable to a point where it's now, of course, he has nothing but to become this character.
Hmm.
What was your thoughts just on Colin Farrell's performance as Penguin?
Yes, and I was just gonna like bring him up too after Riddler. I love his portrayal as the Penguin, also Cobblepot, and yes, his prosthetic makeups and like the fat suit he wore in this movie was perfection. I'm glad they didn't CGI him, and honestly, he reminded me a lot of Robert De Niro. Like his
Yes.
performance, he gave up like that mafia, like Italian, like with his accent and with his like vibe and his mannerisms and his performance. It was it was given like a lot. It was like I said, it was giving Robert De Niro a lot. It's just like that, just with his look too, and and he was great. And I also do think that compared to like the Danny DeVito, like I honestly I do prefer Danny DeVito's performance as the Penguin, but like what Colin Farrell did in this movie and his performance, I thought he did like a spectacular, stellar job.
Yeah, yeah, and I with we had Dane DeVito in Batman Returns with Tim Burton, which, by the way, after this recording we just had Beetlejuice this past weekend with Tim Burton, and I miss his style of directing and in the cinema. Definitely it's been a while, but he definitely put a stamp on that character. In terms of, okay, well, anytime I think of a Penguin, I think of of an iteration of Tim Burton, or at least his influence of that character that he did in Batman Returns. And I felt like, okay, well, how are you going to do? You got two routes you can go with this. I mean, you can go make this more realistic, because also we had other iterations like on Gotham, FX and stuff.
Mhm.
So, which I didn't thought was bad at all or anything. I was actually invested with that show. But
I only saw like the first season of that, and then I stopped.
yeah. You're not the only one. But with this version of Penguin, again, it turned into, again, you talk about Robert De Niro, is giving to this more of a Goodfellas, more of the Sopranos type,
Mhm.
you know, feel to it. And I thought it was also not, even though we never seen that before, but it felt organic. And I felt that it didn't feel like he was playing a caricature. It's like, no, this is absolutely organic in terms of who that character is, if you try and give a more realistic approach to it, right? And now, even visually, the fact that you wanted to make it seem like a penguin, because even then there's interviews where even parts of his face that he wanted to make look like it was like a broken up like beak or something of a penguin, or like a scarred beak or something, right? And then that he wanted to add that part in terms of the makeup of the penguin, but saying that he doesn't look unhuman, but just seeing like this person does have battle scars, this does have a history, especially within this city, and this person has become this evolution of this particular character, which we know as the Penguin, right? And even though that we're getting a series of him next week, is that I do enjoy that the way this film set up him as a character, seeing like, hey, this city is his oyster, where now we're the top of the Falcone and Maroney's gangster bosses of the world, where everything is now it's up for grabs, in terms of the power of Gotham, right? And seeing that even a realistic level with iteration with Batman and the police is like, you always trying to have deals with these mobsters, or you're trying to arrest them and then they get out, and then it's like, oh, they try to go on court trials and they get out scot free, and then XYZ is like those type of form of storytelling is like the noir and drama of storytelling for me personally. Is that's something that I eat up all the time, anytime you give it to me. And I really enjoyed in terms of what Matt wanted to establish with his character, just a way for him to have a very bright future in this universe. And then again, I'm really looking forward to the series next week. But that going to the next part, which is my thing for me, my favorite part of this film is the relationship between Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle. To me, they're one of my most favorite DC comic relationships. And even then, as we might see it through animation for many different years, it still always seems like a breath of fresh air when I see it, and how it's done very well. But what was your thoughts on Zoe Kravitz as Selina Kyle in this film?
Yeah, she surprised me. Actually, I don't know what I was gonna expect for her going to this movie when this was coming out, but she surprised me. She definitely, just like Batman earlier, Selina Kyle, Catwoman, cat burglar esque, and I love her relationship between her and Bruce Wayne. They're sort of like back and forth, and this is something that I really do want to see more of in future movies, because the relationship between like Bruce Wayne and Selina, just like in the comics in general, is one of the most vital like the things in the Batman lore. Just like sort of like that on and off again, like she's on his side, that she's eventually switches on him, that sort of thing. And definitely see that in this movie. And Zoe Kravitz gives off a great performance. I do love her like subplot in this movie. I want to give revenge on her father Falcone, played by John Turturro. And yeah, I think that Zoe Kravitz she's not my favorite Catwoman, I would say, but like I said, like
I
early,
agree.
but like I said, early Catwoman, she's great.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, I have favorites.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yes, exactly. So, but yeah, I just felt with how this film ended, because this goes into the final point for this review. We're talking about cinematically the shots in this film. Again, there's multiple like shots where I felt can be like textbook, just stripped right out of the comics, or just a piece of art. Because on the one hand you have this overlaying, red scheme throughout the the film, even the marketing, but even then in a sense of like when Bruce and Selena are driving or on their bikes and then they're going off separate directions, right? And while you have this amazing score, playing overlaying that, when you have the car chase scene with Batman Penguin, and seeing him how the perspective of Penguin as the car's already flipped upside down and he's viewing Batman approaching him in the rain, and then but also gave the perspective of this is a bat crawling up in a cave towards you, and but yeah, what was just some of your favorite shots in this film?
Yes. Oh man. There's so many guys. One thing I do love about this movie as well, like the cinematography and just like there are a lot of scenes in this movie that look like it'd be like taken out of a graphic novel or like a Batman comic. And this one of my favorite shots is just like in the opening, when Batman's about to beat up the criminals, and when you finally see him coming out of coming out of the walls, and he's slowly approaching them. I love that shot. And I also do love like the back shot of Batman when he's having that talk with Selina on top of the building. And I also do love, like I said, any scene that features red lights in it. I'm a huge sucker for, and dang, it's too many. It's like pick your favorite kid, man. Like this movie has too many great shots.
Yeah, to me, the greatest shot for me in this film was when after, even after Riddler's been locked up and then they're having at that political convention and, the flood is approaching, the city and everything. And there was a scene where Batman, he gets into the water after, he cuts the the grapple with the Batarang, and then he lands in the water and he has the flare, right? And as he has the flare, he's basically having, pulling people out of the rubble and leading them out of to safety. But then yet you're seeing that shot of the red light, and while people are right behind him following him and going into the final scene of him as people are getting rescued and stuff, you're seeing that in this film that he's now turned from being vengeance, for his point of in the beginning of this film when he starts saying that I am vengeance. Now even as a Batman fan, you're thinking when he's saying I am vengeance, I am the night, I am Batman, right? But now it's getting to a point where the monologue he had at the end is saying like this city doesn't need vengeance, it needs something else, it needs hope, and I saw that shot. I feel cinematically, I mean, there might be a few more, I guess, if I can go look back at, in previous Batman films, but like this was the one shot where I felt Batman was the symbol, not just you putting the, using the iconic, light and, putting it to the sky and everything, but the fact that you have people that once feared him are now following him to the light and, out of darkness. And I felt like that scene visually displayed, and I felt what Matt Reeves was trying to accomplish, and he definitely did that. But I still go back and watch that scene with that amazing score playing over that. But that was to me that was my favorite scene of the film. But it was definitely the one most beautiful shots I've seen. But overall, what would you give a rating out of 10 for this film?
Rating out of 10, I would say I will give it a 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10, definitely.
Yeah, I would. This is probably my second favorite Batman film of all time. Now, I will say, because I have other reasons why I might like ones more than others, in different ways and different reasons. But for me, obviously, you have Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight. But after this, for me, this film for me surpasses Batman Begins. It surpasses Rises for me. This was a masterpiece. But I think it also is a step forward in the right direction of exploring more stories of Bruce Wayne and other Batman villains, exploring this noir type of universe. And I'm glad it is separate, to a point where it's not feeling you have to abide by just another character, other side from the DC universe. to actually explore. We're going to see that with another Batman and another Batman movie. But I think that having this definitely leads a form of storytelling with Matt Reeves as his amazing visionary. But I'll give this film, I won't say I give it 9.5 out of 10. Because again, I have it on the Blu-ray, I have it on DVD. I have like making sure I have my physical media for this film.
Yes.
This is the one you got to have.
Definitely.
But yeah, shout out to physical media, by the way.
Physical media, hashtag physical media forever.
Yes.
And this movie, I have the 4K of this movie, and the 4K looks amazing.
Yeah, and again, now we know the sequel will be coming out, or at least the script is currently being written. It's supposed to probably come out probably around 2026, after the new DC universe is established and stuff. But we won't have to wait long, to get another story within this universe, because the Penguin will be coming on HBO Max next week on, I believe, September 18th. So that'll be coming out next week. We'll definitely be reviewing this show and breaking it down. But yeah, I just want to say thank you, Anthony, for joining. Hopefully it won't be the last. But where can people find you on all the interwebs and everything?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Anthony _the_creator, YouTube and at Anthony the Creator, same name. You can find me on those platforms. Yeah, I'm also on Twitter and TikTok, but I'm not really active on there. But if you do just follow me on Instagram and YouTube. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, you can guys follow me on Jedi Mike 7 on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, now Facebook, Instagram, and but also you'll find Anthony more on this channel here, because this was a great discussion, and I look forward to more collaborations in the future and everything. And but yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. We are out. Cool.